My name's Jasmine West. I teach third grade English Language Arts and Writing at J.O. Wilson Elementary School in Washington, D.C. It is a Title I school, and I work with predominantly Black and Brown students. I've taught first grade, I've taught fourth grade, I've taught fifth grade. I also had the opportunity to be an instructional coach for a year for literacy, and that was another opportunity for me to work with teachers. But the biggest thing is when they come into the classroom, you would see students this huge gap in what they knew and what they didn't know. Literacy is such a huge component of success, and I just stress that, especially for elementary and lower elementary, preschool, from when you're 3 until you're 9, 10. And I just want to say third grade is such a huge year, because if a student is not a fluent reader, does not know how to read, that's when they start to build prisons. You have that school to prison pipeline, especially for Black boys. So there's so much data about if a student is not on grade level at this age, at 9 or 10, it's kind of gonna go downhill from there. And you can just, the amount of, unfortunately, Black students that are not fluent readers is astounding, especially when you're looking at fourth grade, and you go to middle and high school, but also looking at social emotional inequities as well that weren't being addressed. A lot of students that I have served, they come to school, but it's kind of survival at times. And so how can you, if you have all of, students have to deal with, there's the poverty aspect, right? They're coming to school hungry. There's a lot of abuse at the home. There's drugs. There's a lot. And also maybe you don't have, maybe you're coming from a single parent household, or maybe your parents aren't even there. They're working. So some of my students would be taking care of their siblings. So these are a lot of the inequities, but challenges that they're facing. And then all of that, they have to come to school, or they're not getting sleep at night, So really taking into account of what this child is going through, and then they have to do with all that, and then they have to come to school and they have to learn. And at times it's the learning piece is not, sometimes we prioritize the learning piece, but we're not looking at the social emotional piece. And I think the most important thing is to look at the social emotional piece of our students and where they're coming from. Every student is different, but you really have to meet them where they're at. And for me, to create a safe space is just the beginning of school, having conversations with your students, just trying to get to know them. I've done that through, I always chat with my students during instruction time, but during lunch and recess, I don't mind. I have lunch with my students just to give them a space to feel relaxed and know that I love them and I care for them, and also so they can be themselves, and then they open up more. Students just possess so much creativity, and they're very innovative, and they teach us things every single day that we didn't know anything about. And so if we're continuously providing them with more opportunities to further push and challenge them, I get so excited about what's next to come. And that's why I love education. That's why I love children. But I want to be able to ensure that every single child has those opportunities, even if they don't want to pursue a career in maybe STEM or medicine. But the biggest thing is they know they can. Oh, I can do that. This is easy. That's what I want them to walk away with. I love learning. I can do this. I'm empowered. Knowing their worth, that is so key, and it's fundamental. And I feel at times students don't know the gifts that they possess because of maybe a test score, or maybe their interactions with students in their classroom, or interactions with teachers. But if they know that, I tell them all the time, you have so many gifts. Don't ever compare yourself to another student. Sometimes, this is more challenging, but things are challenging for me. But I have to figure out, what am I really great at? And then I know what I'm really great at this. Let me, focus on this area. But the biggest thing is, for the children, my students, my babies, to know that, anything is possible, right? But you need to have that support. Support is huge.